Hello, I'm John Chester, and I'm recording in my underwear. Okay, so continuing on the thought of basic social skills, or what I call social handles, and the reason why, and I guess I need to eventually record that on what social handles are, but I think social handles are the very things that happen before you have social skills. But parking on it for a moment, social handles are those things that enable us to be there for other people and those people to be there for us. Sure, social skills are that, but social skills, again, are something you build after you have social handles. So they're a little bit further down the line. Today, though, we're going to be talking about grief. And a lot of people get this wrong, and a lot of people don't want to watch this. This may not be one of my more popular ones, but the reason it's important is because people who don't process grief suffer from, again, poor social skills. They get depression. They have crappy friend circles. They don't manage their emotions very well. They're normally angry. They're fearful. They haven't adapted new patterns. So we're going to be talking about that and how to properly move through grief. What do I know about grief? Well, okay, like everybody my age, and I'm in my late 60s, I've had a lot of friends and family. My parents are both gone. They lived. My mom passed away in 2012, and my dad passed away about 5 years ago. But just recently, a couple of weeks ago, I lost, I hate to put it that way, it's like all of a sudden I'm staggering around looking for him. 2 weeks ago, the son of a very close friend of mine called me up and said that his father had passed away in his sleep. I'd known this man since 1977. I was proud to have him as a friend. He was a really good thinker, but he and I were very similar in some ways and outrageously different in others. Why is that important? Well, in this day and age, a lot of people don't have the cojones or the backbone or the intellect or the wisdom or the personal affirmations to be able to seek people outside of their sphere. My friend, his name was John as well. And John and I, again, met in 77. We met on the night that Battlestar Galactica was to be broadcast, the original one from the 70s with Lauren Green and company. And we were going to sit at his house and watch it eagerly. Ooh, you know, we love Star Wars, so obviously this, and it was lame. It was lame as can be. It was fun, yeah, but it was then interrupted by the Mideast peace talks with Menachem Begin and Arafat and such, and Carter, and they totally ruined the thing, and we had to make up our own story. And so for like 45 minutes or an hour or something, it was totally off the air. And they didn't go back and fix it. You could buy the videotape, but that didn't come along until much later. Okay, all that said, and we met via a girl I was dating that he had known ahead of time. Well, at that time, we were both aligned politically, though we didn't know it or care back then. But 20 years later, I changed. I went to seminary, and I grew up and just made other choices, and he remained in the same political stripe. So what? Well, some people would separate, and we did. And we separated for a few months until finally we realized, the both of us, that What was most important was the friendship, not the politics. And I have lost people because of politics. My music therapy internship director was definitely of one stripe, and he hated certain political figures and didn't have problems verbalizing that, and hung up on me, and we never talked again. Well, he's passed, and it's a shame because he was a good guy, he was a smart man, and he had horizons I needed to learn about. But I lost that opportunity because I was too stuck in my ways as well. Okay, when this man passed, now going back to John, I am going through, and it's only been 2 weeks, so I'm just dipping my toe in the processes of grief, and there's a lot of process. There's an illustration I've used a lot when I was working in the psych hospitals for people, and some of them were there because of mismanaged grief. The illustration I love about grief is like when it happens to you, when you find out that news, your loved one has passed, you've moved away, they've moved away, you've lost a job, a pet, whatever it is that has so radically shifted to where your day-to-day has changed, your thought patterns have changed, that can cause grief. Please, it's not about losing your spouse or your best friend. It could be all those things I've already mentioned and more. There's an interesting video out there about a man who's sitting on a bench and he's crying over this ball of twine that's just about run out. And he bought it when he was a young teenager, and it's just about out. And he's in his 30s, something, maybe 40s. And he's crying, and his wife can't understand why. And it's because he understands the concepts of grief, and he's processing that. Never shame somebody because their grief isn't significant enough for you. Oh, your dog died. Well, it's just a dog. Wrong. All right, your sister died. Oh, well, you never liked that sister anyway. A friend of yours died. Well, you didn't talk to him very much. No, sorry. Somebody in your family died. You didn't like them. They didn't treat you well. So you cannot rationalize somebody else's fear. That's not for you to do. Understand that they feel a loss. There's a hole in them now that will never be filled by the same thing. It can heal, but it's not going to ever be the same. It's going to be an emotional wound that will require some management, some processing. So here is this handout that I gave, and it was one of two, and I can't find the other one, but this is Stages of Grief, and it's a great starting point about how to manage this thing that happens to us. Oh, let me go back. I'm sorry, I'm kind of lost. This illustration of grief. When grief first falls on you, it's like this huge elephant-sized bag that has no handles. It's too heavy for you to lift, and it just socks you right down to the ground, and you're kind of, there. It's that illustration of a guy on the floor, and you just see his hands and legs sticking out from underneath. All right, so it's like the coyote. And then over time, it gets a little smaller, and you can crawl out from underneath it, and you can walk around it, and then eventually maybe it grows a handle and you can pull it along with you, and then it gets another handle and it gets a little lighter, and eventually it goes from this elephantine size problem to a bag that you carry like a purse that is always with you, a little piece of luggage. Is that a bad thing? No. That purse is there for you to use as empathy. When somebody says, well, my mom died, my sister died, my friend died, my spouse died, my dog died, you're able to pull out the empathy card and not say, oh, that's nothing, I lost mine. It allows you to sit next to them and go, that's tough. And you don't have to say anything else. When this man, John, when his son passed away, and that's all I really want to go into on that part of it, but his son passed away, and he called me up in the middle of the night. And John was not an emotionally effusive man. He wasn't, hey, like me. He wasn't, all this nonsense. And that was a good thing. It was an opposites attract thing. He was very centered. He was rather quiet. He still was outrageously funny. He was incredibly smart, and he was great company. And anyway, he called me in the middle of the night, which he had never done before, and told me just simply, when I picked up the phone, he goes, my son's dead. And I said, I'll be right over. And he tried to talk me out of it, but I went over anyway. And I showed up at his house, middle of the night, and I sat next to him. And here I am, a guy that worked in psych, and I've been a therapist for decades, and I'd known him for even longer, and I just sat there. I didn't have any great words. I didn't have the right things to say. I didn't have something clever. I didn't whip out a biblical verse. I didn't pull out something from Freud or Nietzsche or anybody. I just sat there. Please keep that in mind. Just know that you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You just got to be in the room. Sit next to him. And I did. And it was dark. And we sat on this couch. And we were there for hours, just sitting. Eventually he got up and said, well, I guess I better start making arrangements. I said, fine. My wife and I will see you at lunch. And he goes, no, I think I better. I said, no, I think you better show up at our house. And he did. Stages of grief. I'm not going to go through all of these because it's too much, but we'll touch on a lot of it. So here we go. Looking at the page here, it starts off with, on one side, loss and hurt, okay? It hurts. You realize there's this huge flood of things that you'll never be able to do, that you're going to miss, that the loss and the painfulness of all this is going to rush upon you like a flood, and you're just in shock, okay? And all these are immediate. They happen just bang, like hitting your thumb with a hammer. Then numbness. The numbness helps you function. It's not a bad thing within limits. You're able to go to work. You're able to drive. You're able to still maintain other relationships, or at least have relationships to where you can turn to them and go, my friend passed. And they'll touch on I'm sorry. What can I do? And people bring over, if you're a Baptist, they'll start bringing over casseroles, But yeah, this loss and hurt are immediate. And by the way, that loss and hurt run for the whole distance. A lot of these do. Some of them fade early on. And one thing I really want to get, that this is the initial grief arc, but know that it's not, even though it's in stages, it is not in order. Know that difference. Why? Because you're going to have loss and hurt for all of it. But then you'll have denial show up, and then new strengths, and then fear, and then affirmations will come, and numbness, and then there's going to be panic and loneliness for quite a long while, and isolation, and all these are going to happen. And I saw somebody illustrate this by taking a pen and just going all over it, and that was how they processed it. Sometimes they were here, sometimes they were there, and they were just all over the place. Is that the right? Yeah, that's the right way. There is no right one way to do the stages of grief, outside of the fact that you just keep moving. Okay, you're not allowed to park. That's not processing. That's parking. That's stagnant. You have to move. Now, sometimes the movement's going to be awfully slow. And sometimes not so much. And everybody does it different. I keep saying that. Is it all right if yeah, it's all right. Now, it's not all right with self-harm. It's not all right to hurt others. It's not all right to do things that are harmful to yourself or others. You just can't manage this in a way that's harmful. The idea of the stages of grief is to heal you. And then you'll notice near the end of it, it'll say, helping others. Okay, that's empathy. That's like I've already said, you get to sit next to someone and go, that's tough. I'm very sorry. What can I do? Let's go get a sandwich. And then you ask questions about them. Don't spend a lot of time going, well, let me tell you about my loss, because that's not overly important for most people. So going through the stages of grief, loss and hurt and shock. Shock is immediate, to where all of a sudden there's this vacuum. It's like you're out in outer space and somebody popped an airlock and all of a sudden all the air is out of the room. A numbness. You really are at a loss of function at times, and you just run on the rails that you've got. I have to get up. I have to take my shower. I have to feed my face. I have to drive to work. And you'll do them slower, but you should be able to do them at least automatically. And I'm talking about the basics. One little important note. During your immediate stages of grief, or the heaviest part of it, don't make major changes in your life. Don't sell the house. Don't cash out the 401k. Don't divorce somebody. Don't dump friends. Don't change your jobs. Don't move. Don't do things like that, because you're not emotionally intact enough to really make these massive changes and be able to live with it later. You might have a great deal of regret. All right. Now, again, stages of grief requires change, but when you force change emotionally, physically, monetarily, relationally, all those kind of things, it's going to really cause problems, and you cause more work in your life. Really, you're going to move away from that house. Your spouse has died. You're going to move away from that house. How about you stay there and process a little bit, and then see if you're ready to move? It might be the right thing to do. On the other hand, there are people who have, if one of their kids have passed, they'll lock their room and keep it just the way it was for months and years, and that's not healthy either. Don't make a memorial to that person. That should be in here, in your heart, and in things you learned with them. Okay, so shock and numbness, denial. Now, this doesn't look necessarily like, oh, they're not really dead. You're where you're really that adamant about they haven't passed. This is more like something subconscious that you get that jerk in your life, where, oh, that movie's coming out. I can go see it with John. Yeah, I can't. So it'll kind of sneak up on you. John and I love the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He used to work as a manager at the Inwood Theater. And whenever the midnight show was Close Encounters, and they'd also be running Rocky Horror Picture Show, which was an odd combination, but in one screen was one movie and the other was the other. So I would show up and I'd be one of like 10 people watching Close Encounters, while you could hear next door or down below, you could hear the time warp going on. Anyway, he and I love Close Encounters, and unfortunately, I guess, they're coming out with like the 50th anniversary or close to it. It came out in 1977. Anniversary of the film, and it's, of course, Ultra 4K and remastered and all that. And for a moment there, a couple of days ago, when I saw it was coming on, I went, "Ooh, John!" Now, emotional outbursts. This is because your emotions are raw. You have been laid bare. You're wounded, okay? And this may be a bad analogy, but it's still true. Your family dog, if it's injured, will bite you. And it may love you. That dog may be your best buddy. I had a dog like that. His name was Tinkerbell. And when I was a little kid, and the dog got swiped by a car, luckily it just broke his leg. And I go out there to get the dog off the street, and Tinkerbell bit me. And this dog used to sleep with me. I fed him. I took great care. He was my dog. It was Boy and his dog. But he bit me. Just very suddenly. Why? The dog was in pain. And dogs just sometimes want to be let when we got him to the vet, and the dog was fine. Now, with people, emotional outbursts are exactly that. You're minding your own business and you get triggered. This is one of those times where triggers are really okay. There's not a lot of times when triggers are good if you can properly manage your triggers. And in something like this, an emotional outburst caused by a trigger, you need to be aware that if you go to a party and you normally went with this person, or to a movie or a gathering of some type, and that person's not going to be there, you're going to be triggered a lot. So you be prepared. You can't walk into the party and the whole time and be the center of attention. Stay home. Okay. On the other hand, if this group of people are people who understand, they may have known your friend and they're going to be aware that you're going to be sensitive, yeah, go ahead and go. But try and maintain your emotional outbursts. Just know that they're going to happen. And it's not really a bad thing, but you have to be aware that you're going to have them and be around the right people so you're not manipulated. Anger is an interesting one. You're going to be very angry with the person. And that seems strange, like they could have stopped death. And in most cases, people can't. But you're going to be angry. You'll be angry at them. You'll be angry at yourself. Why didn't I tell them that? Why didn't I do that? Why should I have gone and done that? I should have made this choice. I should have. Okay, don't. Just stop. It's useless now. I'm touching on these. You can buy books on grief that will really help you with this. There's Henry Cloud has one as well. And there's great books to help you manage this in a more deep pattern. And, of course, websites. I'm here to help you, just give you a thumbnail so you could start your journey on grief, because grief is a journey. The next is fear. What am I going to do without them? They always manage the bills. They help with the kids. They were helping me with my schooling. Without them, my life really changes. There's real fear. Searchings. Oops. This is where people can really get lost. They can get lost on a lot of these places. Searchings, you're going to search for something that is harmful. You're going to bring bad people into your life to try and fill that hole because you're too needy. And you're going to do things that are outside of your normal character because you're searching too hard. You're too lonely. You're just too. You're too big of a vacuum. And people who are manipulative are going to mess you up really bad. So you have to be careful with searching. Disorganized? Yeah, big time. And that's okay. It's for a phase. So you're not going to pick up your underwear on the floor. The kitchen table's a mess. The dog needs a bath. Your desk at work may be a bit of a shambles. People who love and know you aren't going to give you flack about it. Maybe they'll even come over and help you clean up. Several years ago, when I was going through a very bad phase, I had a girlfriend show up at my house, and she went, my apartment. And she goes, hey, instead of us going out, why don't we kind of pick your place up? And I said, that's not really for you to do. She goes, no, you're right, it's not. But I think it would be nice for you to have a good place to come home to. It'll help you manage what you're going through. And that's true, because studies have shown people who live in filth and disorganization, it affects them psychologically and mentally, and it could cause them to go even worse. Panic, obviously, which goes up to fear. It's more of a suddenness, though, where what am I going to do now? What happens? Who's going to pay the bills? Who am I going to show up in public with? Who's going to love me? Who's going to understand me? By the way, all those questions are answered by what happens later when you start developing these new things. All right, we're at the very bottom. You notice panic's there. Now we're at the bottom where it says loneliness and guilt and isolation. The guilt, again, is, gosh, I should have. Don't shoulda all over yourself. Okay, you manage this by being more proactive. Lonely, yeah, you're going to be lonely. This grief is lonely. It is your job and yours alone. It's not for anybody else to do, and you can't lean on people too heavy to have them help you through this. Sure, you have to have some people there to help, but it's not reliant upon them to get you through it. It's reliant upon you, and it's lonely, and it's a process, and you have to move yourself through it. Now, we're at the very bottom, and like water collects at the very bottom here, and you have to you slide down this part. The one part has the emotional outburst, the anger, fear, searching, disorganization. That's the negative things that happen to us right after we know and through the process, because some of these things are uncovered over time. We get to the bottom of loneliness, guilt, and isolation. That's just the natural order of things. Depression is down there. Now, depression doesn't have to be this huge diagnosis. Yeah, I had depression from age 12 to 48, and I may be going back into it. But if you really want to get out of it, you stop picking at the wound and you start moving forward and start developing new relationships and patterns and strengths and things like that you may not have had when this other person or even the dog was around. So I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, but depression can be managed positively and by people who make choices to not just wallow in it. And I understand wallowing. Believe me, I spent time laying in bed, days laying in bed. My sleep cycle was irregular, and I can go all day about my crappy bad choices and the people I use and the things I use to enable that. But I had to make other choices. Remember, life is full of choices. Now, next step is fascinating to me. Reentry troubles. In 1979, a girl dumped me. She literally just moved out. And I kind of understand why. I've processed it enough. Gee, it's only been, 45 years or something. But then I didn't understand at all. And I was in the depths of depression, and it made me homeless. After she left, I didn't know what to do, and I went homeless. I was totally feral in Dallas, in North Dallas, and Richardson, Garland. Anyway, there were, and I don't remember everywhere where I was. I finally showed up back home. I've told this story elsewhere, and my mom got me into a facility where I was there for months. Eventually, I met a girl. She was a girl, but she was, and God put her in my path to be there at that time. And she helped me with reentry troubles. Now, look, all sexual innuendos aside, I mean, she helped me to get off the rails, the depression rails that I had, to where this is the way to her house, which was over in East Dallas. I lived in Richardson. And this is how I go to my job, and then I go home. And this is how I get to her house, and I get to my job, and this is how I get home. And she took me to crazy restaurants, and, she liked Asian food, and she took me to some different entertainment venues. Nothing overly crazy psycho, nothing like that, just different than what I had shut myself in from. Does that make sense? And because I had been mentally, physically, sexually, however you want to put it, in such a way to where I was cloistered and I could not function on many, many levels. And this woman really helped me out, and she introduced me to her social circle, and she empowered me, and she had a lot of patience for me. And if it wasn't for her in my life at that stage, I don't know how successful I would have been, because she was patient, she was strong, she was a bit street smart, even though she was, she was 18 and I was like 23, 24. She already was well ahead of me in some things that I needed experience with. Again, don't go taking this off in the weird. Know this. And she was there, and I wish she and I could have maintained a relationship after, but we tried, and we kind of outgrew the relationship, and we tried for several years to restart and such, but it just wasn't right because we weren't the same people, and we had different needs. But for that moment, she really helped me out, and I ended up really helping her out, I found much later, because of some patterns that she had developed beforehand and things she was doing that were a little bit too fringe for her, and I helped pulled her back, and we stabilized both of each other. We stabilized each other enough to where we were We were whole again without enabling and being so needy with each other. It was remarkable, and I'm very thankful. Her name was Becky, and though it didn't end well for her and I, she's off living far, far away, and I'm way down here, and I'm thankful the good Lord put her in my path. There were things she helped solve. So these reentry troubles are going to be you being awkward at the bowling league, you walking the dog and not talking to people, you being at your job and people walk by, "Hey, Bill, how's it going?" You going to a party and sitting there. You can't play the poor, pitiful me card. Yeah, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be a little awkward. You're not going to know what to do with your hands. You're not going to know how to look people in the eye long enough without being like Charles Manson or being totally passive and not look at them at all. You may forget how to shake hands. A lot of these things are makes people insecure. So you're going to have reentry troubles, but that means you're trying. Okay? Church is a great place to start this over. Some socials at work. Networking is a great place as well. Please do those. Now, you notice on this ascending part of the arc, we have new relationships because you meet these new people. And you get to decide if you want that person in and that person not. And refer to my video. I'm re-editing it called Relationship Cone. And we talk about these new relationships and how they work out in your life. So the new relationships and these integrate new parts of you, and you learn from them. They learn from you, and that's just relationships. They're new. You didn't have these when you had the other person in your life that passed, and they don't replace the other person completely. They're just a new branch in your life now. New strengths. Maybe these new relationships like to go biking or motorcycling or collecting roses. They go to the Arboretum. I don't know. But you start learning new strengths. And you start looking back now, and that's a good thing, on this relationship arc. And you go, I got through the shock and the anger, and I'm not as angry anymore, and I'm not that fearful, and I don't blow up at church or in my Sunday school group or something. I'm not so daggum disorganized. I'm starting to develop new strengths and new patterns. Because you have new strengths, you're starting to going, I think when somebody asks me this, I'm going to say this. I think when I'm at that interview, I'm going to try this. I think I'm going to dress different. I think I'm going to cut my hair different, whatever. And you don't go totally off the rails. You don't go over the cliff with becoming the master of bizarre. But on the other hand, maybe you now, since you have these strengths of, I've gotten through all this, I'm allowed to be more me. And that's a good thing. See, loss can make us stronger. It's the old analogy of a broken pot that's mended is stronger. And often that is the case. So these new patterns start to develop, and that's a good thing. Then there's hope. Hey, I did that. And when I got out of my depression from age 12 to 48, it took me a while to be able to turn around and look, I wasn't a screw up all the time. I mean, yeah, I certainly did, but I stopped being such a screw up. And I was like, maybe I'm strong enough to have gotten through it. I didn't give up. I made different choices. I was smart enough to stop that crap. I stopped seeing these stupid people. I stopped doing those drugs or that drinking or that behavior, going those places, seeing those people. And I started seeing these things and doing this. And I made choices. And that should give you hope. Again, you've got hope from a loss. And people don't really think about that. Then there's affirmation. By God, I did. I'm a pretty smart guy. And that's what attracts people. People will hear that. They'll feel that vibe. It's magnetic, the law of attraction. People feel that vibration, and they're going to want to be around you because they want to be affirmed too. They want a piece of what you got. And what they don't know maybe is that you earned it. You had to lose a friend. You had to be numb. You had to be in denial, fear, anger, all these searchings for the wrong things. And you made it. And you'll turn and you'll notice that. And you'll go, I'm a pretty smart guy. I did this. Now, I'm not here to get the Nobel Prize. I'm not Einstein. But there's tons of people that have come and gone in the world that didn't make it. I've made it this far. And then you start, and here's one of the best things that you could do. You start helping others. Helping others. When you start helping others, you start realizing that you're a necessary part of the culture. You're a necessary part of this world. That God has a plan for you. That you can actually heal others by your pain. Somebody has died in your life and now you're able to help others. Incredible. That is so important. So now we've got to the very top of the grief arc again, opposite of where it was loss and hurt on this positive, which is loss adjustment. Loss hurt over here, loss adjustment. You have adjusted. Now, it doesn't mean that all these other things will not come back. They're going to. These things will certainly resurface at times. Anniversaries and triggers and that old place y'all used to go and that time of year and their birthdays and what have you. These things pop up and they're normal. How long does it take to go through stages of grief? Let me tell you. I have no idea. What's normal for you is normal for you. In my view, it's at least a year or two. Now, that doesn't mean for 2 years you're going to be down at the loss and hurt and shock and numbness and denial and emotional outburst and anger and all that. No. But a year or two for you to be back on your feet and you're helping others. You've gone completely through this loop. A year or two. Could be quicker if you heal differently. But be careful. People who just get back on their feet real fast haven't processed sometimes. And you got to wait for them to all of a sudden emotionally outburst. They'll just blow up on you. And they carry that debris and they wear it like a badge. Well, you don't know what happened to me. I don't care. That sounds insensitive. But if you're not willing to do the work of processing, you're not allowed to dump on other people. That's not human. That's not good. It's not healthy. You're a walking time bomb. All right, so stages of grief is important, but you don't do it in this order all the time. There's going to be times where you fall back down to fear and anger, and then you'll slide back up to, well, I've got to start off with new relationships. I've got to start with new strengths. Got to get back. I'm going to get that hope, and you'll make it. And it's like, you look at this again like a ditch maybe, and you'll slide down and then you'll slide back up and you'll slide down and you slide back up and you just keep going with it. Okay, cool. Keep going. Keep going. That's the only thing. That's just life in general. You just keep processing. Believe me. There's no other option. Not for a healthy life, not for somebody who really wants to contribute. And I know right now you don't feel like it. Right now you may go, I just want to be left the hell alone. Well, I got it. I get that. You want people to leave you the hell alone. And the problem is night's going to come in a little while. Or maybe night where you're at right now. The morning will be there in a little while. And then day, night, day and night. Life keeps coming. It doesn't stop. It'll just keep knocking you down unless you decide to get up and take it on. And you're strong enough to do that. I know you are. We need you out there. All the pain and things you've been through, the crap choices. Congratulations, you made some crap choices. Stand in line. I'm ahead of you. Nevertheless, there's people out there waiting for your story. People you've never met, people you don't know that need your story. You need to get up, Dust yourself off, write it down, start working through this pattern, jumble it up if you have to, but you go and you do it. And then you get eventually to a place where you can start helping others and then work on your loss adjustment. And you get in line enough to where you're helping people you never even knew. And ultimately, you'll help yourself. My name is John Chester. Now this.